Hey, what's going on, friend? My name's Greg. Thanks for dropping back into the channel. Today, we're going to answer the question, what is a saint according to the Bible? Because there are only two types of people. There's saints, and then there ain'ts, right? And I think everybody would love being called a saint. I mean, who doesn't want to be a saint? I know I want to be in that number, because the saints are the ones that go marching in, right? So everybody wants to be a saint. We discussed this a little bit at our Bible study today. What is a saint? Is a saint someone who's venerated by the Catholic Church? Is a saint a Mormon? You know, they're the Church of the Latter-day Saints. Is a saint someone who does a bunch of good deeds, a good person? You know, what does the Bible actually say? So in order to answer that question, I did the super simple thing and just simply searched for the word saint to find. I searched for saint asterisk in case it said saints to try to find the first reference to saint in the Bible. And the first reference is in Deuteronomy 33 and 2. Now, for this video, I am using the King James for fun, for my King James only friends. Now, this is just the first translation that I pulled up. So it's interesting that here in Deuteronomy 33, I'll just read verse 1 and 2. It says, "And this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of God, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, Yahweh came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of saints. From his right hand went a fiery law for them." Now, this verse is actually highly controversial. I would encourage everyone to go to BibleHub.com and look at this verse in a bunch of different translations so you can get some different perspectives on it. It has the word saints, but it is not talking about people. This is absolutely talking about at Mount Sinai when Yahweh brought the Torah, that he came, again, look at the different translations on Bible Hub. He came from, he came with, but they are 10,000s or myriads of his holy ones. And it is referring to angels. Now, this is actually mentioned in Acts 7:52, when Stephen, prior to him being stoned, he talks about that the law was given by angels, and it is also referenced in Galatians 3:19. So there are scriptures in the New Testament that talk about angels being present there on Mount Sinai when the law was given. So some people have said this is why we need some of the extra biblical books like Enoch and Jubilees. I believe they cover this in more detail, but it is actually right up in the Torah as well. Now, so having said that, this first instance of the word saints is not actually talking about people. But my goal in this video is to define what a saint is and what a saint is not biblically by looking at the behavior. So look at verse 3. Here it says, "Yea, he loved the people. All his saints are in your hand, and they sat down at your feet. Everyone shall receive of your words." Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. So this is cool. This passage here, according to the first verse, Moses is about to die. We're at the end of Deuteronomy, and he blesses the children of Israel. And this is fantastic. This is what he says. Basically, before he dies, he says, look, Yahweh came to Mount Sinai with 10,000s of his angels, and he did this because he loved the people so much. That's what it says in verse 3. Yes, he loved the people. All his saints are in your hand. So now we find out what a saint does. What is the behavior of a saint? It says that his saints sit down at his feet, and every one of them received his words. What words? Of course, this is talking about the law. It says so in verse 4. Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. And there, of course, in verse 2, it says that when he showed up with 10,000s of his angels, his holy ones, that from his right hand went a fiery law for them. So it's wild to me that so many pastors in America, in American Christianity, talk about how the law is supposedly a curse. Moses is saying this, this is his deathbed blessing upon the people of Israel, that God did this because he loves the people so much. So that's the definition, or that's the behavior of a saint. It's someone who is going to receive the law, sit at the feet of Yahweh, receive his words, and then do them. And I think this is really cool. There is so much false belief that things changed, after the cross, after the upper room. I have heard so many points in time given for when things changed, okay? But if we jump to Revelation chapter 14, verse 12, here in the very back of the book, we also get a definition for what a saint is. So we've got something from the very front. How about from the very back? And you can use any translation you want. They all say the same thing. Revelation 14:12 says, "Here is the patience of the saints." This is what a saint is. "Here are they that keep the commandments of God and have the faith of Yeshua." That's a saint. The definition did not change. Moses first used the word there. Well, he used the word, you can look it up, Kodesh, Kodeshim, in Deuteronomy there. But in the very beginning, the first time the behavior of a saint is described, it's someone who would sit at the feet of Yahweh and receive from his law, to hear his words and do them. And here it is in Revelation. It's kind of fascinating. If you just search for the word saint, you'll find the word used the most in the book of Psalms. And I'm pretty sure the next highest reference is here in Revelation. Revelation is full of discussions about the saints. But here it is, the behavior of a saint, basically what the definition of a saint is. Now, it's never good to build a doctrine off of one verse. So what we're going to do is jump back a couple of chapters and go to Revelation 12. Revelation 12 talks about the sign in the heavens, the woman who gives birth to the man-child, who is to rule the nations with a rod of iron. And then the devil comes down, the dragon, who has great wrath, and he goes after the woman. That's here in verse 13. It says he persecutes the woman, and it explains how the woman is protected from the dragon. She's given wings of an eagle. She's protected. Now, this is wild. Okay, since the dragon is unable to destroy the woman, then he goes after the remnant of her seed. That's what it says here in verse 17. It says, "And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed." And notice it uses exactly the same words as describing the saints 2 chapters later. It says, "The remnant of the seed of the woman are those which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Yeshua the Messiah." This is not a big deal. This is a huge deal. Understand that a saint is defined in the Bible as a person who keeps God's commandments and has the testimony of Yeshua. Now, this chapter is talking about the remnant of the seed of the woman. That should trigger something in your mind. You have heard this before, and you heard it in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. This is when God is cursing the serpent, the man, and the woman for what happened in the garden. And look what Yahweh says in verse 15. He says, "I will put enmity," or hatred, "between you and the woman." That's exactly what happened in Revelation 12. The enmity between the dragon and the woman causes him to pursue her, but he's unable to overtake the woman with the flood because the earth opens up and swallows the flood. But it says, "And between your seed and her seed, it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel." So there was a prophecy given. This is the first prophecy, I believe, in the Bible, that there would be hatred between the devil and the woman, and between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent. Okay, so this is huge. Obviously, the seed of the woman is Yeshua, as it plainly says there in Revelation chapter 12, but the remnant of her seed, the rest of her offspring, in other words, the other children of God, the other children of Israel, those who are Yeshua's brothers and sisters, they are described with the same behavior. those who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Yeshua. So the point of this video is to ask yourself this question: do you meet that criteria? When you think of a saint, do you think of Saint Teresa or Saint Jude in his hospital? Do you think about someone who does good deeds? Those things are good, but consider the reality. This is a shocking statement. Having the testimony of Yeshua, having a relationship with Jesus, confessing him as your Savior, does not make you a saint. That's not what the word means. Just because you have a relationship with Jesus does not make you a saint, according to the Bible. Now, that might be what you hear in a church, that might be what your pastor says or your friends believe, but that doesn't matter. And if you check all the boxes and you do all these commandments, that does not make you a saint either. A saint has to be an and man, someone who, yes, absolutely believes in the blood of the Lamb and applies the testimony of Yeshua to their lives. In fact, the word, it says one who holds the testimony of Yeshua. That Greek word is the word echo, one who echoes the testimony of Yeshua, one who lives a life in the way he lived and did the things that he did. So, of course, that person must also keep the commandments of God, because that's exactly what Yeshua did. So, are you a saint or are you ain't? I don't think that's good grammar, but you get the point. Thanks for watching.